guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be doing some planting. I'm going to try to squeeze in as much planting as I can before things get really crummy out here. Our 10-day is looking pretty favorable. I think the lowest we're supposed to get is around 30. We've already been 25, so I think our plants will hold a little while longer, but like even the Budia still have some color. It's just amazing. In fact, when I was rounding up these plants, I was just noticing how we've got all the elements right here. We've got green, we've got blue, yellow, and red. And it just makes for such a pleasing bunch of plants. Like, this is a great start for any flower bed right here, I think. These are not gonna all end up in the same spot though. We're gonna be all over the place. We'll probably be by the pond a little bit because that is where I was thinking I wanted a couple of these evergreens, possibly the grass, but I thought we would stop here and go through some of the stats of these plants and then we would head out and get them in the ground. First off, we've got the cat's pajamas nepeta, which we have in multiple different areas in the garden, but that's how much I love it. It's a compact nepeta, so it doesn't get massive, like a foot tall, maybe a 1.5 to 20 inches or so wide. It just is a nicely behaved nepeta for sure. It doesn't flop and, create open spots in the center, and it's almost always in color. You can see this one still has a little bit of color. I love that. They're a zone 3 through 8, and they're one of the earlier blooming perennials for like summer bloomers. Seems like they're in beautiful bloom sometime in May-ish, like mid to late May, and the blooms last for a really long time, and then you can shear the plant back a little bit, and that will encourage a really thick second bloom. Sometimes I don't get to my shear back, and they still push new blooms above the old ones, and it's still a really nice looking plant. I like how forgiving this one is. Then we've got the lemon squeeze pennisetum, and isn't that little touch of yellow just really beautiful? It really pops from everything else in the back of this gator. We do have some of these that are mature, and maybe we can run and take a look at those, but they'll grow between 3 and 4 feet tall and about 4 feet wide, and the plumes, like without seeing them on the mature plant, you can't even imagine how absolutely stunning and big they are. But I like the yellowy chartreuse color that this one brings to the landscape, and they are very full plants. And I'm hoping that the rain didn't knock down the ones that we have out in the garden. We had quite a bit of rain last night, and of course after I said, let's go take a look, I thought, hopefully they're still standing tall. Then right here we have a blue shag eastern white pine. We have one of these just on the other side of all this stuff, and it's doing really well. They'll grow about 4 by 4, but I love how soft they are. Zone 3 through 8 on this one. I do notice that it casts, so it gets that needle cast, and I have to come out and clean out the plant like once a season is all. But they are really quick to push new needles rather, and it's been a really nice plant for us thus far. And I was thinking possibly in the pond area. I'm not sure on this placement yet, but that's why I initially picked this one up, was for the pond area, so it probably will end up over there. Then there's the Montana moss juniper, which gives us that more icy blue color. And I think the website says that this one gets like 2 to 4 feet tall and 3 to 5 feet wide. But I'll show you the one we have in the ground because it's definitely wider than 5 feet. They're a zone 4 through 9, and they are, like for a juniper, a pretty soft one. Like there's no prickliness to it, and I just like the growth habit. And you'll see that when I show you the bigger one. It's just got a really interesting, it's like not really thick, if that makes sense. Like it gets these longer arms that are a little bit more wispy looking, and I just think it's so beautiful. Then the ruby chip Budia. So these we also have in another spot. They grow about 2.5 feet tall or so, and about that wide. So they stay very compact. They're almost like a perennial. So you can tuck them a little bit closer to the edge of a border. And I just think the color is beautiful. The pollinators are attracted to this one. It's just a really nice, tough plant for kind of a crummier, full sun situation. Crummy in terms of soil is what I mean. They're not fussy about what kind of soil they're in as long as it drains well. Then we've got the Arctic Fire Red Dogwood, which is in beautiful fall color. These leaves are green in the summertime, beautiful red in the fall, and then they're followed by, the bright red stems in the wintertime. Now, I think they're supposed to grow like 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. Ours are definitely bigger than that. I'll show you those as well. But these are a zone 2 through 7, crazy, crazy winter hardy. And the last one we have here is a brand new shrub for next year, 2025. This is a purple leaf sand cherry called Stay Classy. And these stay a lot more compact than some of the older varieties. They grow about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. and they're really cold hardy, like a zone 2 through 7 or 2 through 8. I just looked it up to confirm. It's a 2 through 8. But they also provide a ton of spring color too. A bunch of white blooms will come out in the springtime. They do bloom on old wood, so that's why it's nice that these stay a little smaller, because we shouldn't need to be pruning on these at all. If you have to prune on things that bloom on old wood, you want to do it as close to right after they're done blooming in the spring as you can. That way they have time to set buds for the next season. But these are just very fun. I'm excited about it. Okay, well, I think that does it for the details on these plants. So now we just need to get them in the ground. A light cord right here, and I did not break it. Yes. Ah, that's so pretty right there. All right, we got everything in the ground. So we're just gonna take a walk around and look at where everything ended up. Then we will head out to the south garden and look at some of the more mature versions of what we planted today. And then I think we're gonna plant those last 22 boxwoods in the formal flower garden. We got them picked up. They're sitting out there. We just haven't put them in the ground yet. But here are the sand cherries. I think they're gonna look beautiful right here because we've got a crab apple that only gets 8 feet wide. So it's a small one. I can't remember, I said Red Baron, I think is what it's called. And I love the crab apples. They are so gorgeous this time of year. But we've got green leaves here. We've got our blue spruce here. So it'll be nice to have some smaller, more burgundy leaved things in this space. And we're gonna be filling up this flower bed and, you know, the berm and the border kind of around this whole area, much like we are with the dirt lands. Our focus is mainly evergreens and then trees and shrubs, things that we don't have to do anything to. And so the sand cherries fit in perfectly. We don't have to do a thing to these. We can just let them do their let them do their thing. And we may come in eventually and put in some ornamental grasses because that's just a once a year cutback, and very low maintenance perennials possibly. But I don't think we're going to be doing any roses or anything like that out here. Anything that requires deadheading or even shearing back mid-season, I don't really want that kind of maintenance out here. Okay, we're going to walk around the stream area because that's where most everything except for the Arctic Fire Dogwoods ended up, which I've already got Arctic Fires. We planted 3 right here, right after the stream was completed. They look pretty. Oh, and this is where our ruby chip ended up. Isn't that beautiful right there? And it's only gonna get like maybe this wide, so it'll just kind of soften the edges of these stones. And I kind of wanted to tuck it up a little bit closer, but there's a cord for the lights that are in the pond, and also some of the liner comes up right here, and I didn't want to be too close to that, so I just popped it over a little bit. But it's so fun that we were able to see some color on this one when we planted it. Oh, look at that tucked in right there. It's beautiful. Okay, swinging this direction, we can see the Nepeta. And I just popped a couple in front of the stone, one behind, one kind of behind the pine there, and then one on the other side. So we've got 5 just kind of scattered around. I think that's going to be really nice color. And the Montana moss. I think this might be my favorite placement today. Look at that. And especially once you see the more mature one, it's just going to kind of cascade itself over these rocks a little bit, and it's going to fill in this space beautifully. Love the color of it too, especially with these leaves. We've got a really nice contrast going on right now. Okay, so I'm going to swing slowly in this direction. You can see we haven't done our leaf cleanup around the stream yet. We're kind of waiting until a few more of the leaves fall, because this is going to be a little bit more, it's going to take a little more time to get the leaves out from all the rocks and all of that, so we'd rather only do it once. But right here is the eastern white pine, tucked right in behind that stone. I think that's going to be gorgeous. So again, that one gets 4 by 4, so it's going to kind of grow over the stone here, hopefully, but it's tucked back enough to where we can still maybe pop a few little ground covery things along the edge. There's Douglas. And then this is one we're going to have to see how it goes, because when you see how big they actually get, I mean, 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, it's going to come out over the walkway just a little bit, 2 feet on center. So like right in here, it's this part that we'll have to see how it reacts to being kind of smushed a bit, but I don't think I'm going to mind. I think it's going to kind of like pop itself up over the rock and maybe between right there. I think it's going to be really nice. Okay, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Just the Arctic Fire Dogwood. So we're going to head to the edge of the dirtlands over here. We'll walk through the pond area to get there. There's the koi. So you can see some leaves at the bottom too. We're going to get in there and kind of clean those out. But there's not that many, and they kind of congregated in the same spots, which is really handy for me later on. That one's right there is my favorite. Here he comes. Nice and slow. Yeah. There we go. We've still got some really nice color on this Penstemon. This is a new variety for next year. Rosy rhinestones or something like that. Gosh, I don't know what the deal is, but this one I cannot lock the name in. Or maybe it's coral something. There was 2 varieties. I planted one variety on this side and the other variety on the other side. That is beautiful. And some color on the hardy geraniums there, and the rudbeckia. If we walk right through here, which this is all going to be planted, I popped the 2 Arctic Fires right here. I think they're going to be really nice right here. You can see the beautiful contrast, the red leaves with the blue spruce. Here comes the breeze. It's supposed to be really windy this afternoon, so I don't know about the boxwoods. We'll see when we get out there if we're feeling it. I feel like I'm still recovering from planting all of those just a couple of days ago. I think in this space we're going to want to keep a little bit of a footpath too from here to the basketball court area. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how this area kind of forms up. But we've got the Arctic Fires in there, and there's also some hibiscus, you remember, that we planted late this summer. So I'm very much so looking forward to seeing what those do. So lots of fun stuff. Okay, so that's everything we planted. Let's head out and take a look at the other plants. Okay, here are the Arctic Fire Dogwoods. These are 3 years old at this point. This was their 3rd growing season in the ground. And you can see that they are pretty large. So what did we say 3 to 5 feet. I'm 5'4". They tend to do really well in our area. Maybe they do stay on the smaller side in other climates, but they like it here. So anyway, we always plan on them getting a little bit bigger, which is great because I'm actually going to be cutting on these this year to use some of the branches for some holiday arrangements. So this is their 3rd growing season and I have not pruned them at all. That also can help keep them in size control a little bit, but it also keeps the stems in nicer color. So with dogwoods, there's 2 options for pruning to get the best stem color. You either go in every other year and cut them all the way back down to the ground, which is what I'm going to do next spring. That's why I'm going to be a little bit liberal in cutting branches out because I know they're going to go in the spring anyway. And that way it can push fresh branches. It has best color on first year wood. Or you can go in every year and cut out like a 1/3 of the older branches. And you can usually tell if they're older because they are duller in color. Some of them even turn brown. These really haven't though. What in the world? What in the world? What are you doing? Are you doing battles out here?
I'm just a little bit stuck in the branches.
Uh-oh, here comes another one. Here she comes. I see some purple back there. You've almost made it. Look at you, hacking through the bush. Good job. Okay, so if we come in here, like you can see how beautiful these branches are. So they're still going to be really gorgeous this winter. But I can tell that some of these, let's see, like this one right here, it's got a larger diameter. It is older and it's starting to look a little lackluster. It's not quite as bright red. It's got a little bit more brown to it. And the older they get, the more brown they will be. Just an amazing plant though. I love them. Oh, that's going to look good there. I love it. They've been working on planting the last 2 Norway spruces we had out on that tree rack out there, just so we could get them tucked in and get it done. We can take a look at those too. Okay, so here is our eastern white pine that we planted last year. So same as the one we just planted today. And like I said, it lost all of its needles and then pushed brand new ones. And it has grown some this year. Like, let's see, I think this whole shoot right here is brand new. And if you look in here, there is some needle cast going on again. So in the spring, we'll have to do a little bit of a clean out, but I'm really loving it. Love the shape of this and how soft it is, and that bicolor blue-green is amazing. Okay, and now the ruby chip right here is not in color, clearly, but I just wanted to show you so you could get an idea of a mature size. You can see a tiny bit of color. It's like, oh, holding on. And there's some beautiful, what is it, lilac crush, is that what it's called, or lavender crush, something like that. Hibiscus and some other gorgeous things, but I've really enjoyed them here. I've got 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And most of the time we have to cut them all the way back down to the ground in the spring. And they come back and get that big every single year. They're amazing. And then look at this. Oh, this is the Montana moss juniper. Isn't that spectacular? I just think it is the most gorgeous thing. I've got 1 more in the high tunnel. And I just want to make sure I'm placing these somewhere where they can do this. And see what I mean by how like each branch comes out and there's just a little bit more air and a little bit more architectural interest to this variety. Some of the more ground cover type junipers are really thick and dense and there's not a whole lot of neat shape to them. But I really feel like this one's got character. It's just stunning and definitely wider than 5 feet. We've got about 10 plus feet going on here, from like the tip of that branch over here to the tip of that one. Yep. You can't say a whole lot of plants are native to our area, but junipers are, you can tell, because they just go for it here. Okay, we're running over to give Bethany and Aaron a straight check on this Norway spruce, which is absolutely perfect. Look at this. This is one that I think it's like 6 feet wide. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, that looks really good. Now this maple, you guys, we're going to have Nathan Malad move this for us here fairly soon. We planted this extra one when we planted the other ones around the lawn. And I'm so glad we did that because now we have this one to dig and move back behind the gate so that we'll have 2 maples, one on either side of the gate flanking it. It's going to be gorgeous. And you know what, given the fact that we've got these Norway spruce trees going on, which we'll go look at the other one out in the dirt lands, I think we'll just save the boxwoods for this weekend and we'll plug away at it. But I just wanted to show you and talk through a couple things. First off, I noticed a few comments and questions about why we did an L shape behind the benches instead of a curve to match the grass curve. and also to match this. One of the main reasons I did that is I didn't want it to look like I had a bunch of donuts out here from overhead. If you look at it from overhead, you've got a donut of grass. You've got a round circle of grass around the fountain, which makes sense. If I did another circle on the back side of the benches, it would just look like a bunch of rings or a bunch of donuts, and I just didn't want to do that. I think going between squares and circles and changing it up, having variation, is way better. I also did not want to, I wanted to make it different from the tree swoops because we do not have a tree here. I just think it's more pleasing. That's totally personal, and that's the wonderful thing about gardens. You can do it how you like to do it. Bullseye. That's the word I was searching for. It looks like a dartboard, like you're trying to hit the fountains of bullseye if we had multiple rings. Okay, so here are the boxwoods. You can see we haven't done a precise. In fact, like this one needs to match up right here. We went 8 boxwoods over this way and 8 boxwoods over that way. And then we did 6 of my feet lengths from the tree trunk to this boxwood to like the middle boxwood. And then we just formed up the swoops. They're not precise, but they're pretty close. And here's the other swoop. And you guys saw all these boxwoods go in the other day, so it'll look just like it did when we planted those. And that way we can get out here and do like 1 swoop at a time if we want. I love weekends for that. We just kind of work on this and that around the garden, button things up and tidy it up. So hopefully the next time you see this space, we'll have all of those in the ground. So we'll head out and take a look at that last Norway out in the dirt lands. And I think we're gonna be done for today. It looks so good right here. You can see kind of for perspective where the house and all of that is. Oh, I love it. It's kind of out in a sea of nothing right now, or what appears to be nothing because the trees around it don't have leaves. There's some locust trees and a linden. We've got some hibiscus right in that mulched spot right there. But, you know, we'll just gradually work on filling this space up. I feel like we made really good progress this year. I'm really happy with it. But this is likely the last evergreen that's going to go in this season out here. As I said that, I'm thinking I've got 3 Wichita blue junipers that need a spot. They might end up out here. They're in smaller containers though, so they're not like a big B&B. We just wanted to make sure, especially the B&B trees were tucked in, because those are harder to sort of, I don't know, we had them hilled in mulch. They'd probably be fine for the winter, but everything else that's in containers, we can tuck into a high tunnel and just kind of protect it from extra wind and things like that and keep them monitored for water. So anyway, it feels good to have that done. And I see Paul's cleaning up where we had all of the extra mulch where they were hilled in. So right over there, he's just popping everything into the pile, kind of slicking that up. Oh, it looks good. And you guys, that is going to do it for today. It is all of a sudden super chilly. You can see it got overcast all of a sudden, and I think we are expecting more rain. We got rain last night. We're expecting more rain and a ton of wind this afternoon. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it gave you some ideas for some really great plants that look great this time of year. Still November 1st, looking great. That's awesome. So anyway, we will see you in the next video. Bye.